What's good, lads? So UFC Shanghai just wrapped up. Today I'm going to be matchmaking and recapping pretty much the whole card. I'm going to be leaving timestamps in the description. Sorry about how late this video is, guys. But yeah, dude, let's get straight into it with the first fight. Uh, oh, dude, best editor on YouTube. Just give me a second. Yeah, so first fight of the card was Uran Salty Boliev versus Dia Nugazai. I would like to start off by saying that the performances of the night were actually given out pretty well on this card. I think Uran Salty Boliev, I keep saying it the wrong way now, Salty Boliev, um, deserved the performance. He got an Ezekiel choke over Nurgazar. You don't see that every day, dude. And apart from that, he dropped him real bad right before that as well. So yeah, I think he deserved the performance bonus over like Yiza, for example, who basically had like a layup opponent. Um, Someone else who had a layup opponent, but yeah, I think Cal Dawkins as well deserved one. I think Charles Johnson as well for sure. Absolute nasty knockout. And also Johnny Walker too did. So yeah, performance bonuses were given out really well on this card, in my opinion. But yeah, dude. To start off, all right, again, Uran Salty Boliev. I think he's actually a bit of a problem at light heavy, dude. He's actually kind of big for the division. Obviously, his debut was against was against Mon Badai. And he actually looks somewhat okay in this fight, making a lot of people pick him in this one. And yeah, dude, he just completely outclassed Nurgazai in every single aspect of fighting, even in the striking, which I thought Nurgazai would have had a slight advantage in as well. Yeah, dude, Stati Boldev actually looks alright in this division. I think his grappling is going to be an issue, especially a light heavy, where there aren't very many grapplers at all. But yeah, I'm going to be matchmaking him later on. But yeah, really impressive from Sati Boliev. I honestly think I'll probably pick him going forward, um, unless they put him against like some crazy opponent. But yeah, dude, this guy's actually got some promise. And Nagazar, dude, I think sent him to the PFL. But yeah, next up, dude, uh, my pick here was Zhao Long. I picked Zhao Long purely because I looked at their previous opponents. Obviously, Su Young Yu has like a win over an American guy, which is a good sign here because just Asian fighters, they aren't the best way to they aren't the best way to gauge whether or not a fight is good or not because they tend to just be from road to the UFC, which is just its own like little competition. So you can't really gauge how good the fighters are there. But Zhao Long actually had a split decision to Chang Ho Lee, who's a legitimate good Asian fighter out of South Korea, who I think is like pretty much the Asian Habib type thing. And he had a split decision to him, and I thought that was really impressive, and that's why I picked him going into this fight. And dude, I thought he won it. I'm not gonna lie. I think the first two rounds were incredibly close. And then I think the third one obviously would have gone to Xiaolong. Obviously, you probably see that clip going around of Xiaolong just like throwing elbows for a full on like 30 seconds. And yeah, he clearly won the round based off that. And then I think when the first two rounds are that close, you just have to split it even. I honestly thought Xiao Long won the first, in my opinion. I think again, it was by like barely anything, but I think you have to give him at least one of them. And then the third was to him. So, and I just felt bad because I mean, after the end of the third, he was jumping up in the cage, celebrating, you know what I'm saying? And then he held his hand up for the decision, and he was just real confused, dude. So, yeah, I don't know what the judges were doing. China, like, it's literally Chinese judges. Why are you giving it to the South Korean guy? If it was like, there's a really good argument to give it to the Chinese guy. Like, I don't get it, dude. Judges, I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm taking that win for myself. Like, fuck me, he's Squid Game ass motherfucker. But yeah, on to the next one. Yeezy vs. Weston Wilson. Weston Wilson's one of the worst fighters in the UFC. Just isn't UFC worthy. Yeezy went out, blitzed him as he should have. To be fair, we don't really know all too much about um, how good Yeezy is, but I mean, we've seen Weston Wilson get absolutely decimated by guys like Joannis and Brito and Gene Silva. So yeah, those aren't horrible losses, but he's just a guy that gets blitzed in the first round. And Yeezy actually showed some levels here, um, making Gene Silva and Brito's performance honestly not look all that great. But yeah, dude, Weston Wilson just that shit, I guess. So yeah, this was a dude. Oh my gosh, I don't know what the hell happened to Michel Pereira, dude. People were literally picking this guy against Anthony Hernandez, by the way. Nowadays, Anthony Hernandez is talked about as like being the guy to beat Hamza Chimaev. And Pereira, I don't even know at this point if he beats anyone in the UFC middleweight division. Like, what do we do? Trayshawn Gore, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be matchmaking him later on, but I don't know, man. He's just fully cooked. Carl Daukaus is the guy who used to be in the UFC, re-debuted for this fight card on short notice, and he clipped Michel Pereira in the very first round. Very easy win. Michel Pereira was kind of having a little bit of success beforehand, though, with some nasty body kicks. But yeah, those aren't going to TKO anyone really in 2025. And Carl Dawkins just ends up clipping him, bit of an early stoppage, but I mean, it was just embarrassing anyway, dude. Like, this guy, yeah. Honestly, it made Abus Magomedov's performance against Pereira look pretty shit because that was like a close fight that was um, just didn't have much going on. And Anthony Hernandez took this guy to the fifth round, I'm pretty sure. Again, not looking great, but again, Anthony Hernandez isn't like a blitz you in the first round type of guy. So yeah, dude. Pereira, I don't know what's next for you, dude. But yeah, let's move on. Wrong view versus Austin Harvard. Uh, this was a pretty good performance from Wrongview. He just had the more output, was able to piece up Hubbard at moments. Yeah, dude. I honestly wasn't paying all too much attention to this fight. They do the Max Holloway point to the ground at the end of the fight. Um, Austin Hubbard wasn't having it. Yeah, dude. Decent win for my uncle over here, Wrongju. Um, and yeah, dude, this guy's a lightweight, isn't he? Like, yeah, some fun matchups for him, hopefully in the future. Maybe an Elvis Brenner type thing. But yeah, on to the next dude, Charles John. I'm actually crying right now, dude. I don't know what it is with Charles Johnson and just like losing to guys that he really shouldn't lose to, but then like having these great performances against these big prospects. But this guy literally like has like losses to Ode Osborne and Cody Durden, dude. Like shit just makes no sense. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something about Charles Johnson when you like when he's getting like dominated in the first round by a big prospect. Um, he just like turns the switch on and they start getting a little bit relaxed because they're new to the UFC, they're not as experienced, and then he just clips him. You know what I mean? That's what happened to Josh Van, and the exact same thing happened to Lona Kavanagh. He looked absolutely phenomenal in the first round, dude. I mean, this guy was piecing up Johnson real good in the striking. Pretty sure he was able to land some takedowns as well, even into the second. But yeah, dude, you could see that he was just getting tired, huffing and puffing away, and yeah, he landed like a decent shot on Johnson, stepped away, just admiring the shot that he just made with his hands by his knees, and Johnson clipped him with a nasty right hand. Well, maybe it was left, but pretty sure it was right hand, and just puts him to slip instantly, bro. Nasty KO at flyweight. And yeah, dude, I'm crying right now. Like, I actually believe in Lona Kavanagh pretty immensely. I think this win is going to age pretty well for Johnson as long as Kavanagh like takes the proper time off, um, to really go back to the drawing board and stuff. But yeah, he looked phenomenal in the first round, dude. And yeah, I do still believe him. It's not like he got pieced up the entire time like Apache Mix or whatever. But yeah, dude, he just knows how to fuck to beat people, dude. And he turns it up when it's time to turn it up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Johnson wasn't able to get anything off in the first round. Like he was getting pieced up real bad. So yeah, I don't know. This guy just knows what the fuck he's doing when it comes to these prospects. I say at this point, he literally has won his last like 5 out of 6 fights. Obviously, that Ramadan Temirov fight, he did lose it. Um, but Temirov popped for PEDs as of recently, so there's some questions about that fight now as well. And Johnson had a good third round as well. But I say you jump this guy up in the rankings, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna match make. later on. Again, um, jump jump to the matchmaking part of the video if you want in the timestamp. But yeah, dude, I think you jump up Johnson and Leonard Kavanagh. I say you give him a I say he takes some rest, honestly, and gets back to the drawing board a little bit. But yeah, dude, let's go on to the next one. I did pick Leonard Kavanagh, by the way. I did think that his performance over Jose Ochoa was quite impressive, and I thought his game was well-rounded enough to handle a guy like Johnson. But yeah, dude. On to the next. I didn't actually watch this fight, Mahashe versus Gage Young. I was getting something to eat. This was basically like the WMMA fight of the card for me, but yeah. On to the next, dude. Neuraji Taiyilake versus Keifer Crosbie. I did watch this. I did. I don't know. It's a decent win for Tai. Well, it's not even a decent win. It was like a very clear legal move. It was literally, I'd argue, it was like more of a brutal knee to the ground than Petr Yan's against Aljo, in my opinion. Funny how this happened on a card with Aljo, by the way, but yeah, like it was just such a brutal knee. And again, taking 2 points, you can take 2 points of a dude, but Crosby needs to, um, he just needs to recover from that. You can't just put him straight back into the fight like that. Like, bro, we were literally seeing like. Um, we literally saw like literally in the next fight, Kevin Borjas versus Sumudaerji, or maybe it was like a earlier fight. They were like they were like eye pokes. They were like barely eye pokes, and then the ref would like give the fighter like 2 or 3 minutes to recover from like a bare eye poke, and then Kiefer Crosby basically just gets knocked out by a knee to the face, and then he gets like 2 points taken away from Neuraji, but dude, he needs time to recover, bro. Like. Um, Props to Crosby for going out like a man again and you know uh letting the fight go on. But yeah, horrible decision making from God out there. Like the guy needs to recover it. You can take like 10 points, but he needs time to recover. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Crosby was just like cooked completely going after that, and yeah, he probably would have been cooked anyway. To be fair, like he was like honestly just praying for a Hail Mary submission on bottom the entire fight, just like a dumbass. So yeah, Taiyilake gets a win, I guess, in the UFC. Um, yeah, he's a welterweight, so yeah, hopefully some fun matchups to come for him. And Crosby, you're kind of just cooked, bro. I'm not gonna lie. But on to the next, Sumudaerji versus Kevin Borjas. I picked Sumudaerji in this fight to get it done. Um, I actually picked Borjas against Ronaldo Rodriguez because of how shit Ronaldo Rodriguez is. So Borjas has actually done well for me in the past, but I really didn't believe in him all too much in this fight, dude. Because Sumadaji is actually a proven guy in the rankings. Like he was in the rankings before, and well, but his last loss against Charles Johnson really wasn't a bad, or maybe oh no, it was Mitch Raposo, I think. Like his loss to Charles Johnson though it really wasn't all too bad. It was honestly like you arguably could have scored it to Sumudaerji, in my opinion. And yeah, he's gotten a win since then over Mitch Raposo, where he showed um, the ability to stuff takedowns and just win against a grappler. And Borjas, dude, he had like the easiest layup of a fight ever against Ronaldo Rodriguez, where Ronaldo Rodriguez wasn't making any adjustments at all. And yeah, Sumudaerji just ain't the same. And yeah, I thought he was just gonna piece him up at range. You know, Sumudaerji is actually a decent range striker. And Borjas, who's the shorter and less rangy opponent, I just knew it was gonna happen, dude. So yeah, I think a lot of people were going Borjas as an underdog, but because of how good he looked in that Ronaldo Rodriguez fight, but bro, there's levels to the game. So yeah, dude, good pick by me. Um, Sergei Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortes-Acosta. This was a retarded pick in hindsight. I picked Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I thought he was going to just stick and move against Pavlovich, maybe mix in the wrestling to get this done. And I thought it would work because of how tentative Pavlovich looked against Rosenstrike in particular. But he actually, to be fair to him, he actually did look a bit more in prime condition in this fight. He was actually able to impose his will a little bit more in the second and third. And yeah, dude, Cortez Acosta, he just you can't really just get in a slugfight with Pavlovich because you're always gonna lose and you're always gonna be the more hesitant guy against him. So yeah, just dumbass game plan from Cortes-Acosta. I don't know what he thought he was gonna do in this fight, but yeah, the Pavlovich ends up getting a I don't know what the store cards were. It should have been 29-28 though. Um, and yeah, I don't know, man. Pavlovich is on a two-fight win streak now, I guess, against like decently highly ranked opponents. Um, I'm obviously gonna matchmake later on, but I don't know, man. I see very mixed opinions on this on how Pavlovich is looking nowadays. Some people are saying that he's like still in form. Hopper MMA said this. He's still in form. It's just nowadays he's versing strikers. Whereas before he was fighting guys like Tuivasa, Lewis, Blades, who aren't really as technical as strikers as Acosta and Rosenstrike. I could kind of get that argument, but he's just not blitzing them. He's just not blitzing them and imposing his will like he was before, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't think he's the exact same, but I think he's definitely getting his confidence back a little bit. But yeah, dude, Aspinall obviously drained this guy of all his confidence, and Cortez Acosta obviously in the fight he would do his like classic emotes, um, and at least he didn't get knocked out. You know what I mean? So yeah. He's probably going to be like a Marcin Tybura, Sergei Spivak level of fighter of this division. Um, yeah. So yeah, on to the next one, dude. I'm gonna match make them later on, but yeah. Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. Um, yeah, dude. This fight was pretty much just Brian Ortega knowing the fact that this was 5 rounds and just praying that Aljo was gonna gas in the championship rounds. And that shit just didn't happen as much as he thought. Aljo did gas in the fifth and was kind of in some trouble a little bit, but was able to get out of it by shooting a good takedown or reversing one at a good time and being able to ground and pound away at the end of the fifth. And Ortega basically just didn't do anything at the beginning of the fight or the first 3 rounds. Aljo was just able to just get one punch in, just one punch combinations, and just win on the striking. You know, a little bit underrated striking from Aljo. It actually looks somewhat okay. But at the same time, his chin's like always just completely up in the air while he's striking. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like it was just such a low level weird fight. Um, it was just an easy win by Aljo because Ortega was just praying that he was gonna gas. And yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel bad for Ortega. He's probably gonna go on a downfall at the end of his career, to be honest. I am a fan of both guys, but yeah, dude. Aljo. Actually, this is actually really good for Alger's resume too. I'm gonna match up these guys later, but yeah, dude. In terms of striking, he looked a little better in this fight. In terms of how well he does against the rest of the division, I'm not all too sure. He obviously had that really close fight against Mobstar, but against real strikers, I actually kind of worry about him a little bit. But yeah, let's move on to the next one, dude. This fluky performance. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I don't think it was a fluke at all. Yeah, obviously Zhang Mingyang was the obvious pick here. Um, I mean, you just had to pick him, dude. I mean, there was no logic to picking Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker's a guy who's known for getting KO'd, has no chin pretty much. And Zhang Mingyang, I actually kind of believed in him heavy, dude. I thought that the fact that this guy is able to impose his will every single time, and the fact he throws these elbows and has an all right kicking game as well, I thought he was going to be able to get this done easily, dude. Especially since Johnny Walker doesn't really have like a jab or like a just um just any game with the boxing. Like I thought Zhang Mingyan was able to get this done. Um and he actually looked good in the first. Johnny Walker decides to start the fight shooting a stupid takedown, which he ends up in bottom position with as well. Just the most Johnny Walker way to start a fight. Um yeah, just ends up on bottom position immediately. And yeah, dude. So then Zhang Mingyang basically just wins the first round, um, landing some somewhat big shots as well. So Johnny Walker's chin may have actually recovered a little bit, but yeah, he was winning the beginning of the fight, and Johnny Walker going to the second round, he basically just lands. He's still losing the round, and then he lands a leg kick, which visibly just discomforts Ming Yang. He starts cobbling all over the place. Walker follows up, and then yeah, he just ground and pounds away while Ming Yang's on the floor. Mark Goddard basically gives any chance for Ming Yang to continue in the fight. Probably a little bit of bias there from the Chinese commission or whatever. And yeah, um, Walker ends up just finishing the fight with ground and pound. Yeah, dude, he ends up breaking the Brazil main event code as well. Of all people to do it, Johnny fucking Walker against Zhang Mingyang. Oh my God. Yeah, dude, this fight just kind of goes to show that this sport is unpredictable sometimes. I mean, this was literally the how the fuck are we supposed to predict this, dude? Like, I think in my video I said like Zhang Mingyang's like built in a lab because I mean, look at him, dude. Like, this guy clearly like it's gonna be hard to chin this guy. You know what I'm saying? Because he's got a chin on him. You know what I mean? But yeah, how the fuck am I supposed to know this guy's got chinny legs, bro? Like, this guy's literally got chinny legs, but his actual chin was built in a lab. You know what I'm saying? So, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Yeah, sometimes this sport just makes me want to rage, dude. But yeah, this guy's got chinny legs. Um, yeah, dude. Let's move on to the matchmaking part of the video, dude. In terms of what to do next for all these fighters, I think Sati Boldiev should he should get a step up, dude. I think Ion Kutalabi, fuck's sake, Kutalaba, would be a good step up. Kutalaba is coming off a split decision loss against Bukauskas, which I think he won, to be honest. And yeah, Sati Boldier's looking good. He's a grappler. I think this will be an interesting fight. Both of these guys actually have somewhat of a wrestling game, decent on the feet as well. I think this would be fun for sure. Um, yeah, honestly, dude, kind of excited for the hype train of Sati Boldiev. I'm not gonna lie. Um, guys from Kyrgyzstan trains out of Team Alpha Male with all those Asian guys. Yeah, dude, kind of excited for his future. Not gonna lie. So yeah, let's give him the Kutalaba test. It'll be interesting. But yeah, moving on, dude. Michel Pereira, I say just send him to the PFL. I'm not gonna lie. Um, yeah, this Carl Daukaus fight was literally supposed to be the can for him to crush, and he didn't do it. So yeah, dude, I say PFL for him. I'm not gonna lie. He needs to just regain his confidence at this point. It's probably like all-time low. I say just send him back to the regional scene or whatever, dude, or just give him like the ultimate can, like a Trey Gore or something. I don't know. But yeah, let's move on. Tim Elliott versus Charles Johnson. Dude, Charles Johnson won six of his last five fights, and the one fight he lost was against a guy that popped for PEDs um, later on. So, yeah, I say give him a shot up the rankings, and I don't really want Tim Elliott in the rankings for too much longer. So, yeah, I say feed Charles Johnson, Tim Elliott. You know what I'm saying? Uh, knowing Charles Johnson, he's probably going to lose somehow, but and then just beat another prospect up. You know, it's just the Charles Johnson cycle, but. Yeah, I say make this matchup. I think Tim Elliott's ranked like number 10 after that Kai Sakura win. So, yeah, I think it's a good step up for Charles Johnson. But yeah, let's move on to the next. Yeah, Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I think this is a good fight from right. Derek Lewis, bit of little bit of a step below. I think there's going to be a lot of emotes in this fight, and I think this is probably going to end up in somewhat of a knockout, hopefully. Yeah, just a fun fight. I think it'd be cool. Maybe like a fight night main event or something. Yeah, I think it'd be fun. But yeah, dude, let's move on. Sergei Pavlovich. I think a lot of people would be matching up against Gane here. But honestly, bro, Gane's probably gonna get carried by Aspinall in what, October? And then he's probably gonna look to like what, fight next year in France or something. You know what I mean? So I'm honestly not looking to wait to just have Pavlovich wait out. but I also don't want to see him get like an immediate title shot against Aspinall after Aspinall would be like what Volkov versus Almeida winner. So yeah, I think just book Pavlovich in a fight against either one of these two. I know a few of you guys are going to be thinking, who the fuck is that guy? But this is actually I just forgot his name, but he's like a PFL guy, and he's basically fighting Marcin Tybura next week on the France card, or in the next fortnight on the France card. I say whoever wins this probably gonna be Marcin Tybura. I say just have him fight Pavlovich. I think Pavlovich needs like one more fight to get his confidence up. It needs to be a knockout too. Like we need a knockout win Pavlovich for you to be in any like title conversations. So yeah, I say put Pavlovich in this in a fight against the winner of this. And if he gets a knockout, then I think we look towards a Cyril Gane fight or something like that. But yeah, dude, let's move on. Brian Ortega needs to move up the division. I mean, this guy literally fainted um, in the lead up to this fight, and it had to be at a catch weight 153. You know, he just needs to move up, and I think the fight at this point should be Grant Dawson. You know, I think anyone who's ranked at lightweight probably won't accept the fight against Brian Ortega because I mean, why the fuck would you accept it? You know what I mean? But I think the only guy that the UFC would realistically give it to and like force him to take it would be Grant Dawson. I mean, this guy had like a boring uh snooze fest against Carlos Diego Ferreira in his last fight. He's ranked at number 15. I think he's the only guy that the UFC would probably force to take a Brian Ortega fight at this point. So yeah, I say book this one. You could put him against a hard opponent like a Ludovic Klein, but I think this one's more interesting. You know, you got a wrestler in Dawson who's just largely based on control time, and then you got a submission specialist against Ortega. This is just good matchmaking. So yeah, I said book this. And for Alger, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's pretty clear that the Lerone Murphy fight is next for Volk, and in probably December, I'd say. And obviously, Gene Silva's gonna fight Lopez soon. I think he's probably gonna beat him. But dude, I say they should probably just make Movsar versus the winner of Noche, and then I'd say probably just book this, dude. I mean, the UFC has to give up on this whole Yair Rodriguez thing at this point, and I honestly don't even think it's that bad of a matchup for him, to be honest. I think Aljo is honestly kind of open on the feet anyway, and like if you're going to put Yair in title discussions anyway, I think he needs to answer a few questions of whether he can fight grapplers as well. So yeah, I think this is the next fight to make for sure. Probably like for a title eliminated position. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, So, yeah. Um, but yeah, in terms of the next one for Zhang Mingyang, I mean, dude, uh, yeah, Modestas Bukauskas is coming off a win against Ion Cutelaba. Um, he's on a two-fight win streak, I'm pretty sure, against Sergei as well. I think this is probably the next best fight for him. Yeah, dude. We just need to see Mingyang prove that doesn't have chinny legs, and I think Bukauskas would actually throw leg kicks for sure. I think he has a few more than two brain cells. Um, yeah, just book this fight. And also, but Bukauskas is also like a bit of a chinny guy from early on in his career, so I think this would be interesting. You know, you have a guy who's probably going to throw leg kicks, but is also chinny enough to get knocked out by Zhang Mingyang. So yeah, this is actually kind of a good fight. And for Walker, I say the Krylov fight is pretty good for him. You know what I'm saying? I think if they're saying that Jan Blachowicz is booked, I think they know behind the scenes that it probably would be booked. Um, but yeah, I think either way, dude, this fight, Krylov versus Walker, I think it's quite interesting because both of these guys are some of the most chinny at light heavyweight, but they're also like some of the most wild. So yeah, dude, I think you're gonna get an absolute scrap out of this. That's definitely gonna end in like the first or second round. But yeah, dude, that'll do for this video matchmaking and recapping the event. Again, late guys, it's a bit late guys, but um Yeah, just have to stay consistent with the channel. If you made it this far, please subscribe, like, all that good shit. But yeah, dude, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.